Welcome to Spotlight, California. Today we have Jacqueline Stewart, who is the Chief Artistic and Programming Officer at the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures. In this new executive position, Stewart is the lead strategy and planning advisor for the Academy's Museum's curatorial, educational, and public programming initiatives, which include exhibitions, screenings, publications, workshops, you name it. We're super excited to have Jacqueline with us today. She is a powerful leader in the film world. She has an inspiring history of scholarship and teaching and programming and archival work, etc. You're going to hear and learn more about Jacqueline, and we're so happy that you're with us today. So thank you so much for joining.
Well, thank you, Colleen. It's such a pleasure to be here with you.
Well, great. Yes. So you've been in this position for how long here in Los Angeles?
Just over a year. So just since January 4th of last year. So it's been a whirlwind for sure.
It's been a whirlwind because you recently opened the new museum. Tell us a little bit about that.
That's right. Yeah, we opened September 30th. So glad that you were, present during the opening moments for the museum. It was such a big deal for us on the team, and I think for the city as well. The Academy Museum has been a project that was long in the making. And I mean, really long, like the founders of the Academy a century ago were talking about creating a museum that would really focus on the artistic practices of filmmaking and really kind of demonstrate that film is an artistic form that should be taken just as seriously as other forms of art. So a long time coming. And when we opened, I'm really gratified to know that we're meeting such an important need in Los Angeles and in the world to really give filmmaking its due, to delve into its history, and also to be a place where people can connect and talk about what film has meant in their own lives.
Yes, and it's a beautiful building, Renzo Piano. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I know that in terms of increasing tourism, people will come from all over the world to have the opportunity to spend time in this new museum. And the programs are absolutely terrific. So tell me a little bit. So you have this long history, as I mentioned, as a historian and an archivist. So I'm wondering, how do you feel that cinema has shaped our understanding and will continue to shape our understanding of our history and our culture and just in people and in ourselves?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I mean, one of the reasons why I became interested in studying film history is because I think it touches on these questions that you're asking, these issues that you're raising in such a powerful way. I mean, films represent all cultural practices. Filmmaking is a medium that has been developed all around the world. There are so many different global film movements that we can look at. But I think in addition to what you see happening on screen, it's really important to think about audiences. Like, the moving image is the most powerful form of communication. And when you think back to the films that you enjoyed as a child, you can really track your own development through the kinds of films that you've liked over the course of your life. We learn so many things from films, how to dress, right? Like, for immigrants in the early part of the 20th century, movies were a place to learn how to be Americans, how to speak, about comportment. We learn so many things about our gender identities and about sexuality. And, so many people, I specialize in African-American cinema in my historical work. And so many people have said, they've learned about race and race relations through movies. And we just lost Sidney Poitier. But if you think about his career, I mean, he was a figure who really was critical to the progress of the civil rights movement because people were identifying with him as a character on screen. So I think there are so many ways that cinema has been critical to our understandings of ourselves individually, but then also our social histories. And so that's really been an important driver for my research, because it's not just about exploring, an art form or art for its own sake. There are wonderful things to think about film style. And then it has this tremendous global cultural impact too.
Yes, it does. And how do you see film Film's ability to galvanize this dialogue and to cultivate, a culture of empathy and understanding and building social cohesion.
Yeah, I think empathy is a crucial word, because when we're watching films, we're occupying the identities of people for a period of, a couple of hours or longer with some films. And so films are really powerful tools that can be used to cultivate empathy, to see issues, to get insight into experiences outside of our own. And I think one of the challenges, exciting challenges of thinking about film in this way is, how do we create more meaningful platforms for people to use films to actually then have those further conversations? I really love those moments when you can introduce a film by providing historical context, when you have discussions after films and people can describe their own reactions. Because we know when we typically go to a movie, you sit and you pay your money, you watch the film, and you don't necessarily have those spaces to have that fuller dialogue. So an important part of the work that we do at the museum is really bringing diverse groups of people together to watch these films, and then providing them with more information and more spaces to have the conversations that films can inspire.
And it's so important. And I know that you have a lot of programming and outreach for students, and it's so important to catch them, at those young ages in their development, so that they can understand and see how critical film is in kind of forming our ideas and bringing people together. It's not just there to educate and inform, and not just there to entertain, but to educate and inform. And it's such a powerful tool. And if you think about sort of the work of diplomacy, there's so much kind of diplomacy involved in filmmaking. Very often, it's that soft power that can resonate and promote, the peace and the prosperity that we're all seeking, right? So that's why, I'm sitting here in my office here and working in this capacity and seeing just the power of storytelling. I mean, some of the great leaders of all time who have been responsible for peace agreements, they have been great storytellers. Just how do you tap into that emotional piece to really get inside of someone, to their values, and to understand the importance of their work for the benefit of all humanity. So it's just, I'm so curious, because I have always loved watching silent films. And you have had a history of study. You wrote a book, let's see, what's Migrating to the Movies, Cinema and Black Urban Modernity and Study of African Americans in Silent Films. You have been hosting a silent film series. When did this interest start for you?
So glad always to meet another silent film fan, first of all. It comes from two places, I would say. First, when I was studying for my PhD at the University of Chicago, my professors were all world leaders in the study of silent film, and really early silent films, like the Edison films, really like 19th century films, if you can imagine that. The very first films that were made in the 1890s, when film was a brand new technology and medium. And one of the things that was so compelling to me about these films, even though many people get frustrated watching silent films and they don't want to read intertitles, and they think they know about silent films, I don't really think they've given them a chance. But I was really struck by the parallels between the kinds of debates that were going on about film as a new medium and the debates that were going on about, digital technologies and how they were transforming our understanding of the moving image. And, in the early days of filmmaking, films really could be global. Before there were intertitles, when films were not reliant on language, they could travel all over the world. There was so much hope for films as a universal language. And I just love the acting styles in silent films. I love the fact that they're so experimental and figuring out how to tell stories in this new medium. And then I still like to kind of make film silent, I have to say. Like I'll turn the sound down sometimes when I watch a film, or on planes. I always watch, I apologize to people I've done this to, but I'm watching films other people are watching in front of me. Because I love looking at the way that the storytelling happens through framing and through facial expressions, without some of the kinds of cues that you get through music or even dialogue. So film is such a powerful visual medium, and it always has been. And I hope that more and more people, through the work that I do on silent films, really recognize that they're not primitive, right? That they're not inferior storytelling, but it's just like an earlier phase in the development of film. And some of these early filmmakers are just incredibly accomplished. And when you see them at the right speeds, because sometimes silent films are shown, in this kind of comically too fast, or if you see films that have been so carefully preserved. And I'm thrilled to be a part of the Academy, because the Academy Film Archive does such important film preservation work. When we treat these films with respect and really look at them, as you know, because you're a fan of silent films, they're quite beautiful and entertaining and fun to watch.
They are, and you just hit it. The pacing and the speed is so important. Yeah, great, terrific. So you have been in California for 1 year. You had never lived here before, is that correct?
I did a sabbatical here about 12 years ago. I was doing some research at UCLA, the UCLA Film and Television Archive. So I was here for 1 academic year. But that was a while ago. Yeah.
And so other than enjoying our beautiful weather, and here it's 70 and sunny again today, which is terrific. What is it about California that brought you here? What is it special to California?
Yeah.
Other than the new position at the museum, but it's a big lifestyle change to pack up and leave.
It really is. Yeah. I mean, it's such a remarkable part of the world, just the diversity, like the ecosystem here, where there's like mountain and beach, and it's just incredible. I love going on long walks, and it's just some extraordinary vistas to walk around, especially, around the observatory. I just love exploring that area. So different. I'm not used to that kind of topography. I'm used to pretty flat surfaces. So it's incredible.
Flat surfaces and cold winters in Chicago.
Yes.
But it's a wonderful city.
Yeah. And there's so much creative energy here too, not just in the film world and film industry, but the world of museums and archives and libraries. It's really dynamic and exciting.
It really is. I mean, I do believe California is the home of creativity and innovation, and you really do feel it when you're living here. I remember going to the movie theater, seeing a movie in a theater for the first time when I moved to Los Angeles, and just the experience of sitting in that theater, and how many people stayed to watch the end credits, because they probably they want to know who made this special film, or hey, that's my neighbor who lives down the street, or that's this person my kids go to school with. So anyhow, it's an extraordinary community, and I can speak as an Angelino of 30 years. We are delighted you are here with us, Jacqueline, and I am wishing you all the best. But first, we have a lightning round that we do. Fairly simple, 1-word answer or a few, and there's no right or wrong answer.
All right, I'm ready.
Guilty pleasure during the pandemic.
Oh, I really went overboard on my popcorn recipes. I love popcorn in every form, and all kinds of caramely and cheesy and chili lime. Yes, I binge watched a lot of stuff and ate a lot of popcorn.
A popcorn connoisseur, imagine that. Film connoisseur, popcorn connoisseur, the two go together. Favorite way to spend a Saturday night?
Okay, the pandemic has changed that a lot, obviously. Listening to music. I have a vinyl collection, and I really love just playing my old records. That's what I've been doing.
Vinyl collection, silent movies. I think we see,
Pretty
we see a
consistent.
theme here. One word to describe California.
Bright.
Favorite beach.
I don't know the beaches that well, but I guess I just head over to Santa Monica. That's where I've been hanging out at the beach over there.
Beautiful, wide, lovely
Yeah.
beach. Sunrise or sunset?
Sunrise for sure.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Do you have a favorite classic movie?
Ooh, hardest question. I would say Mildred Pierce. I cannot turn that movie off if it's on, and I've seen it dozens and dozens of times.
Profession other than your own that you would like to attempt?
Oh gosh, that's a good one. High school teacher. Yeah.
Very good. Jacqueline Stewart from the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures, thank you so much for joining us on Spotlight California.
Thank you, Colleen. It's been my pleasure.
Thank you.